Welcome to the YPJ the Maverick podcast. This is a spiritual based podcast that focuses on building a community of believers through biblical applications and Bible studies. Here on the Maverick podcast, we will discuss various Bible topics that will encourage you, challenge you, and uplift you. We will also talk through cultural impacting events, sports analyzations, movie reviews and reactions, and also select premium TV shows. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome everyone again to the YPJ the Maverick Show 5-star review. I'm so excited that you guys took the time to join me today. If you haven't had a chance to do this yet, I want you to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I want you to connect with me. I have several other videos going on right now, from inspirations to other movie reviews. So please check out the content that I have. Now, today, we're going to be talking about Creed number 3. I'm so excited about reviewing this movie. It was a very, very popular movie. It was one that was requested very, very early for me to do. So I'm excited about getting this done for you guys today. And so let's talk about it. Creed number 3. So my initial thoughts of Creed number 3. Creed number 3 is the third installment of the spinoff of the Rocky movie franchise. The Rocky movie led out by Sylvester Stallone. Ironically enough, that this movie did not feature Sylvester Stallone. Yes, this movie did not feature Sylvester Stallone. It was really able to, in my opinion, gain its wings in a sense. It was able to grow. That's what made Creed number 3 kind of unique. The first two movies really, really contingent on the relationship between Adonis Creed and Sylvester Stallone, that father figure, that trainer, and that student teacher, that mentor, that pupil type relationship that they had, going back and forth, different trials and different challenges. This movie, it was Michael B. Jordan's time as the director of this movie. If you did not know that, Michael B. Jordan made his director's debut in this movie. And you can kind of tell it right away. He wanted to put his stamp on this movie. He wanted to put his stamp on it and kind of distinctively make it different from the movies that was previous. We see Adonis coming into his own when the movie first starts. We see that he is still the reigning defending heavyweight champion. And this is his last match, and he has his last match, and we see he is in his prime, and he retires in his prime. And the movie doesn't necessarily show you, but after he wins that first initial match within the first 5 to 10 minutes of the movie, there's a 3-year time jump. There's a 3-year time jump that takes place, and now he is settling in with his family. His wife, played by Tessa Thompson, phenomenal actor. He has a daughter. She's grown. She's about 7 to 8 years old, and we see a picture of what retired life looks like. He's trying to start his brand, Creed Athletics, different things of that nature, and just the challenges of life after boxing. But just as he's trying to build his brand and move away from boxing, his past catches up to him. His past is something that we deal with in the first movie. We deal with in the second movie. But now we see some of the true nature of what made Creed what he was, in terms of having that attitude, that hatred, that anger. And we kind of see some of that embodied in this new character, Damien. This new character, Damien, played by the phenomenal Jonathan Majors. Jonathan Majors, let me just say, he is awesome. I don't believe I've seen a movie with him in it that he did not do a phenomenal job. And this was no different. Jonathan Major did a phenomenal job being the antagonist for this movie. But my initial thoughts, I thought this movie was a solid B plus. I thought it was a great movie. It was a good way, in my opinion, to end the Creed franchise. All right, but here on 5-star review, we break it down. We get into our 5 categories. We talk about the plot. We talk about the characters. We talk about the genre of the movie. We talk about the continuity of the movie altogether. And last we get into our do we give it 5 stars or not? Okay, so without further ado, let's jump into the review. All right, so plot. Like I said, the story was very, very strong. Michael B. Jordan, his first directing debut, I felt like he took a very, very, I don't want to say safe route, but the story was a very consistent story. It allowed it, not having Sylvester Stallone in the movie, it allowed him to build off of the other movies while treading his own course. And like I said, really establishing Creed as the centerpiece. Was he the centerpiece in the first two movies? Yes, he was the centerpiece in the first two movies. But in this movie, there is no shadow of the past that's hanging over him. And I believe that is like kind of one of the underlying messages of the movie, kind of like forgetting your past and moving forward. That's kind of like one of the underlying messages of the story. Not necessarily saying like, forget about the Rocky movies, but it's saying let we all have past, we all have things in our pasts, but you have to overcome the past. Sometimes people live in the prism of their past, and it's about moving forward and uncharting new lives, new purposes, understanding, finding out who you are, and that's what this movie was about. He had, but in order to find out life after boxing, life, the championship wasn't enough, and I believe that was a quote for the second movie by the promoter. He told him that the championship wasn't enough. You need a story. You need something to carry your legacy on. The championship wasn't enough, and we see that. But now we have this protagonist again, played by Jonathan Majors, who embodies that hatred. And right away in the plot, I thought it did a really good job of establishing Jonathan Majors as a legit threat. Like they show us very early on that Jonathan Majors was the one that was boxing. Dane was the one that was into boxing more so than Creed. So it already kind of establishes like, wow, we introduced to Creed as the son of the great Apollo Creed, but Dane was the one that had the passion, he had the drive, he had the motivation. But yet, like he said in the movie, he had to watch somebody else live his life because Creed Adonis was the one that achieved all those things, and it wasn't really his vision nor his dream. And so they set up a great arc for a great fight at the end. And I will say, in terms of the moment of the fight, the actors did a good job of really articulating and showing us the emotion, the drive, and the hatred that was pushing this thing on. But so the plot was great, but there were some things in the flow and the pacing that I feel like really affected the plot in some ways. But for plot and story, we're gonna give it a star. So plot and story, Creed gets a star. Our next category we're gonna talk about is characters. Like I said, Jonathan Majors really owned being the villain. You see Jonathan Majors also this same year, he played the main villain in the Marvel movie Ant-Man Quantum Universe. And if you saw that movie, what you saw Jonathan Majors take his role and really own it. So much to a point where it almost kind of becomes his movie. There's a lot of great chemistry that's on the set. There was no issues in terms of the characters. I feel like the way they were presented, the way the actors performed for the characters, I feel like they did a good job bringing those characters to life. Acting top 10. It was great. There was some great scenes of emotion from Michael B. Jordan and Tessa Thompson. They had a conflict in the movie, and they were arguing back and forth, and they were going back and forth, and it really felt like a married couple was arguing. She came off as a very sincere wife who just wanted her husband to be okay, and he came off as a husband who had so much baggage in his past and so much hurt and so much pain and so much guilt that the way that Michael B. Jordan expressed all those things with his emotions and with his acting, it was great. And like I said, Jonathan Majors did the same thing. You can feel his hatred. You can feel his hatred with Donnie. You can feel that. You can really. It was almost like it was oozing out the TV. So that was great. So characters gets a star. The genre of the movie, it was different from a Rocky movie. It was its own thing, but it still fit a part of the franchise. It was a great boxing movie. I can't think of many other boxing movies that's been made that was better than Creed number 3. It was a family story. It was a story about overcoming the mistakes of the past, overcoming the fear of your past, and just becoming a better you, even when you feel as if that. To me, it kind of showed like even when you think when you made it to the top, there's still so much more growth you can do. And although Creed had achieved all these accomplishments and all these goals, there was still more that he can achieve within himself in becoming a better man. And sometimes becoming a better man means facing the you in the mirror, which is also one of the themes throughout the Creed movies. So genre gets another star for that. Now, here is where I feel like the most criticism, if I can call it criticism, will come from, and that will be from the flow and the pacing of the movie. The flow and pacing of the movie was great for the first 60 minutes. But there was something that kind of, to me, in my opinion, that kind of happened after. So we're introduced to Damien, and we're introduced to him, and he is coming off as this sincere character. He just wants a chance, and he's putting this pressure on Creed to give him a chance, and Creed, because of the past and stuff, he feels obligated to give him that chance, and he kind of wiggle his way into a championship title shot, right? And after he wins the title, if you look at that movie, there was a lot that happened from the moment Majors wins the title. The next 20 minutes, there was a lot of stuff that happened. Like, so he wins the belt. The next scene, the Creed, you have the Creed and Damien standoff. You have the confrontation right there on the beach. That happens. After that, he gets the news from his mom. He has an argument with his mom. He has an argument with his mother. Actually, the argument with his mother was first before the confrontation. So you have the argument with his mother. We have the confrontation with Dame. Then after that, he goes home. He has a confrontation. That's that scene, that emotional scene with his wife happens. That happens. The next scene after that, he's by himself, kind of soaking. We don't know how much time has passed, but you can assume that maybe some time has passed because his eye has healed up a little. It's healed up some. So we assume that time has passed. He gets another call from his wife. Now his mom is sick. Mom is sick. And then next thing you know, we have a funeral. And after the funeral, we have, another scene or so where he's kind of soaking and feeling responsible for it. Tessa gives him the encouragement. They talk about their past. And then finally, he gets up and he goes the first take to kind of confront some things, and they set up the match. That took place. All that what I just said, those 7 things took place in 20 minutes of runtime. 20 minutes of runtime. It was boom, 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 bam. You're right. That's how it happened. And just in my opinion, I felt like the other Rocky movies and even Creed 1 and Creed 2, they did a good job of letting the moments breathe. It's almost like they did a good job of exhaling, inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling. And I feel like after the championship is won, we didn't do that. We didn't take breath. We didn't inhale and exhale. It was just kind of like stuff was just kind of happening. And in my opinion, from a flow and pacing standpoint, it got a little off. That's what I think. I think that it happened really, really fast. 1 second, he wins the championship. The next month, there's so much stuff that happened with the next 15 minutes of the movie. And then now we're back at a title shot again. They're trying to fight each other. I just think they could have built that fight up a little bit more. I think they could have done maybe another, letting some stuff breathe out a little bit, but adding maybe a scene or two to really, really, really let they like I said, they did a good job of showing the animosity they had one another, but letting that fight build up, I think would have been a little bit better. I'll give you an example. In Creed number 2, you remember after he lost really, really bad to Drogo. And although Drogo was disqualified, he still lost the match. Well, one of the things that took a while, he had to get his confidence back. Because Drogo, that just broke his body, but broke his confidence. And that confidence build up to step in the ring with him again, to develop that courage to do it again, was the breathing it needed. So now when you get in the moment, you're invested. You're still invested in this fight, but it just seems like it happens really, really fast to me. But again, that's just my opinion. So in terms of flow and pacing, I feel like that got a little off, so it does not get a star for me. Flow and pacing, continuity, it felt like it was in the Rocky movie franchise. There was one thing I thought in terms of continuity would have made it fit a little better. Like, I get it, Rocky's not in the movie, Sylvester Stallone's not in the movie, so you can't add a scene to where maybe he comes to the funeral, but maybe you can mention him, that maybe he was there just kind of off camera, just bringing that continuity into place, just letting you know that Rocky is still out there, Rocky still cares, they're still connected. He's just moved on with his family, developed his relationship with his son, but he still cares enough to come to the funeral. That could have just been a quick scene, like a quick couple of lines or so. They could have really established that. So that's the only thing for continuity. Kind of nitpicky, but not bad. But overall, I think it was a 4-star, 4.5-star movie. I thought it was pretty really good. I give it 4 stars because when you're coming behind a legacy of the Rocky movies, where you have Rocky 1, 5-star, Rocky 2, 5-star, Rocky 3, 4-star, Rocky 4, we're talking 5 stars with a golden star. So you have such a legacy of great movies that is having to live up to, and it didn't quite eclipse a Rocky 2. It didn't quite eclipse a Rocky 4. To me, I thought Creed 2 was even better. You know, what would I change about it? If there was a few things that I would change about it, this is just my opinion. I would have did more to present that. I like the way they presented Damon. I like the way they presented him, but I would have done a couple of things maybe different. Maybe, like I said, add a little bit more to his championship reign or even his pursuit. Because even when his pursuit of the title, even at the end of it, when they're about to fight, his record is 1-0 professionally. But he made a big statement. I'm coming for it all. I'm coming for it all. Well, it could have took place. It could have been just like one scene where we see like a little monologue of Dame going on a tear, and like he's beating up boxer after boxer. You know, we see he's building his brand too. He's becoming everything that he wanted to become, and every time he wins a fight, he's calling out Adonis. He's talking about him. He's calling. They mentioned that on the first tape show with Stephen A. Smith. They mentioned that he's doing that, but it would have been good for us to see it. It would have been good for us to see it to really get behind him. I would have either did something like that, or I would have really leaned, since they leaned into how dirty he was in the first fight to win the championship. You got to go all the way with it. If he's gonna be a bad guy, let him be a bad guy, and let us see that. But again, that's just my opinion. I thought Creed number 3 was a solid movie, was a good movie, just not necessarily a great movie. But it was good. I give it 4 stars. But I want to know what you give it. What do you rate Creed number 3? Is that your best movie out of the whole franchise? Do you rate it better than Rocky number 4? Is that your favorite Creed movie? Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. But again, guys, thank you so much for joining me for this 5-star review. I can't wait to see you guys again for another review. But again, I want you to know that I love you and Jesus do too. YP out. Thank you, guys.